Hey everyone, welcome back. So today we are deconstructing a really fascinating case study from 2026. It was written by a Google product manager who totally transformed their trajectory, going from your standard PM into an elite AI-empowered bar raiser. If you've been looking to, fundamentally upgrade your career operating standard, grab a notebook because we're going to map out their exact playbook in this explainer.
Let's get real for a sec, okay? Do you ever feel kind of stuck in a stagnant loop? We've all been there, right? Staring into this endless product backlog, desperately seeking out real growth opportunities, but finding it practically impossible to actually land them? You know for a fact you deserve that next big promotion, but instead, you just feel completely sidelined.
Well, the root of the problem is captured perfectly by the author here. They said if you are just managing a product backlog instead of managing for landed impact, you will stay stuck. Just doing what you're told and shipping features, honestly, that's just the baseline now. In the AI era, we need a complete paradigm shift.
To pull off that shift, we are unpacking the ultimate 6-step transformation playbook. We'll cover adopting the bar raiser mindset, owning the outcome, thinking like a founder, influencing for impact, delivering results fast, and ultimately becoming a general manager.
All right, let's dive right into step 1, the bar raiser mindset.
So the term bar raiser actually originates from Amazon. It's a status you earn by demonstrating relentless ownership and a really intense bias for action. A bar raiser plans by working backwards from the customer. They fiercely protect the long-term vision, they block mediocrity, and they quite literally force the standard upward. Our author actually brought this exact mindset over to Google to incubate an entire business rather than just building a run-of-the-mill product.
And there is a really stark contrast here. Standard PMs kind of just wait around for roadmaps so they can ship features. Bar raiser PMs, on the other hand, they step straight into startup founder mode. They figure out the high-level needs of the organization and proactively create a holistic business vision. No waiting for instructions required. Moving right along to step 2, own the business outcome.
When the author joined their team at Google, they didn't just put their head down and look at the code. They locked in key OKRs, established clear product metrics, and took on this massive challenge of driving expansion growth right alongside their core mandate to build AI and machine learning platforms. And here is a massive warning for you. If you do not tie your product directly to the key metrics of your leadership, your impact remains completely invisible. Seriously, no one will see it.
So to truly own that outcome, you've got to level up your thinking from first order to second order. Most folks get stuck just focusing on the immediate impact of a single new feature. But bar raisers, they strip problems down to the absolute basic facts. Before they commit a single resource, they map out the downstream effects. It's like a giant puzzle. They want to know exactly how a feature changes the sales motion, how it impacts customer retention, and how it alters the entire system architecture.
Okay, step 3, think like a founder.
Let me share this amazing micro story of how the author put this into practice. They spotted a massive gap and this huge untapped opportunity. So, what did they do? They led a 0-to-1 motion to develop Google's very first AI/ML-based signal intelligence system. The goal was to drive a product-led sales hybrid motion. Basically, they envisioned a product and a go-to-market motion that simply did not exist yet, pushed for bleeding-edge AI tech, and pitched the whole thing to leadership with a rigorous ironclad business case.
The absolute crucial takeaway here is that massive shift in approach. The old way is starting with a wish list of features. The new way? Starting with a rigorous business case and a solid go-to-market strategy. Because let's face it, features do not sell themselves. You absolutely cannot bolt an adoption strategy onto a product after you launch it. Those growth paths have to be engineered into the core architecture from day one.
Which brings us to step 4, influence to drive impact.
So having a grand vision is great, right? But the author faced a massive hurdle right out of the gate, literally 0 initial headcount. A standard PM would probably just log a dependency, complain about resource constraints, and sit there twiddling their thumbs. But a bar raiser? They show a bias for action. The author just rolled up their sleeves, learned Google's internal engineering systems, and queried the data directly themselves. They actually used Gemini to analyze it, and prototyped a machine learning model using K-nearest neighbors. They proved the opportunity was real before ever even asking for a team. How cool is that?
And armed with their own prototypes, they could finally show leadership the actual art of the possible. But they did it differently. Instead of hiding behind flashy slide decks, which, let's be honest, often just hide weak or ambiguous ideas, they wrote crisp,
clear documents supported by hard data. Good writing forces clear thinking. It eliminates ambiguity, and it absolutely locks in those cross-functional commitments.
By communicating that clearly, it created this amazing domino effect of alignment. First, they secured cross-functional commitment from sales to run a pilot. And when that pilot succeeded, leadership gained immense confidence. Actually, scratch that. It wasn't just confidence. A VP literally called the author a man with a plan. And it was only after proving that logic and winning over sales that they secured the engineering commitment to build the actual minimum viable product.
All right, step 5. Deliver outsized results fast.
The payoff of that relentless execution was absolutely undeniable. By iterating incredibly fast, the author's team drove 20x growth in their very first year. 20 times! That's just wild.
And you know, when you put numbers like that on the board, leadership definitely notices. You shouldn't wait around for permission to scale. You use that early traction data as leverage. Because they did that, the author earned a much larger dedicated team and secured a multi-million-dollar strategic OKR. And get this, that OKR now reports directly at the CEO level.
And finally, the ultimate goal. Step 6. Become a general manager. To sustain this crazy level of impact, you have to completely redefine your job. A standard project manager waits for resources and builds exactly what is asked. But a general manager or an entrepreneur acts like they are running a standalone startup. They take total responsibility for the profit and loss, the marketing, the sales motion, the whole shebang of customer success. Their goal is to build scalable billion-dollar businesses right inside the company.
By the way, all these incredible insights from today's explainer come straight from Roomly Mentor. They actively mentor Googlers, MBA students, and early career professionals on how to apply this exact career growth OS and playbook in the agentic AI era.
So, I want to leave you all with a question to chew on today. Take a hard look at your own day-to-day work. Are you just managing a backlog, or are you actually building a business? It is time to set a higher standard. Think holistically, write crisply, bias heavily toward action, and deliver undeniable results. Because that, my friends, is exactly how you become a true bar raiser. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep forcing that standard upward, and I'll catch you in the next one.